Hello all, I am Bhanuja Dasoju and I am presenting a paper on the Google File Systems written by Sanjay Ghemawat, Howard Gobioff and Shuntak. In this presentation, I will be discussing about the introduction of the Google File System, its design overview, system interactions, master operation, fault tolerance and diagnosis, measurements, experiences, related work and finally conclusions. Google File Systems was designed and implemented to fulfill the rapidly growing demands of Google's data processing needs. GFS shares many of the same goals as previous distributed file systems. However, its design has been driven by key observations of our application workloads and technological environment that reflect a marked departure from an earlier file system design assumptions. The file system consists of hundreds or even thousands of storage devices to which several client devices are accessed. Problems caused by application bugs, operation system bugs, human errors and the failures of disks have been encountered. Files are huge by traditional standards. Each file typically contains many applications, objects such as web documents, etc. If we deal with fast-growing data sets of several TVs consisting of billions of objects on a regular basis, it is difficult to handle billions of KB sized files even though the file system could support it. Most of the files are mutated by appending new data rather than overriding existing data. A variety of data share these characteristics. Some may constitute large repositories. Some may be data stream continuously generated by running all applications. Some may be archival data. Some may be intermediate results produced on one machine and processed on another. Given this access pattern on huge files, appending becomes a focus of performance optimization and atomacy guarantees, while catching data blocks in the client loses its appeal. Co-designing the application and the file system API benefits the overall system by increasing our flexibility. Here are some assumptions that offer both challenges and opportunities in designing a file system for our needs. The system must constantly monitor itself and detect, tolerate, and recover promptly from component failures on a routine basis, as it is built from many inexpensive commodity components that often fail. The system stores a modest number of large files, typically 100 MB or large in size. Multi-GB files should be managed efficiently. Small files must be supported but need not to be optimized. In large streaming reads, individual operations typically read hundreds of KBs, more commonly 1 MB or more. A small random read typically reads a few KBs at some arbitrary offset. Most of our target applications place a premium on processing data in bulk at a high rate, while few have straight response time requirements for an individual read and write. GFS provides a familiar file system interface, though it does not implement a standard API such as POSIX. Files are organized hierarchically in directions and identified by path names. We support the usual operations to create, delete, open, close, read, and write files. Moreover, GFS has snapshot and record append operations which are discussed further. Let's now discuss about the architecture of Google File Systems. A GFS cluster consists of a single master and multiple chunk servers and is accessed by multiple clients. Each of these is typically a commodity Linux machine running on user-level server process. Files are divided into fixed size chunks where each chunk is identified by an immutable and globally unique 64-bit chunk handle assigned by the master at the time of chunk creation. Chunk servers store chunks on local disks as Linux files and read or write chunk data specified by chunk handle and byte range. For reliability, each chunk is replicated on multiple chunk servers. The master maintains all the file system's metadata. The master periodically communicates with each chunk server in heartbeat messages to give it instructions and collects its state. Clients interact with the master for metadata operations, but all data bearing communications goes directly to the chunk servers. Single master. Having a single master vastly simplifies our design and enables the master to make sophisticated chunk placement and replication decisions using global knowledge. However, we must minimize its involvement in read and write so that it does not become a bottleneck. First, using the fixed chunk size, the client translates the file name and byte offset specified by the application into a chunk index within the file. Then it sends the master a request containing the file name and chunk index. The master replies with the corresponding chunk handle and locations of the replicas. The client catches the information using the file name and chunk index as the key. The request to one of the replicas specifying the chunk handle and a byte range within that chunk. Further, reads of the same chunk require no client-master interaction until the cache information expires on the file is reopened. Chunk size is one of the key design parameters. Here, 64 MB is chosen, which is much larger than typical file system block sizes. Each chunk replica is stored as a plain Linux file on a chunk server. Here are some advantages. First, it reduces clients' need to interact with the master because reads and writes on the same chunk require only one initial request to the master for chunk location information. Since on a large chunk, a client is more likely to perform many operations on a given chunk, it can reduce network overhead by keeping a persistent TCP connection to the chunk server over an extended period of time. Third, it reduces the size of the metadata stored on the master, which allows us to keep the metadata in memory. And here is also a disadvantage. A small file consists of a small number of chunks. The chunk server storing those chunks may become hotspots if many clients are accessing the same file. Metadata. The master stores three major types of metadata: the file and chunk namespace, the mapping from files to chunks, and the locations of each chunk's replicas. Memory data structures. Since metadata is stored in memory, master operations are fast. Furthermore, it is easy and efficient for the master to periodically scan through its entire state in the background. Chunk locations. The master does not keep a persistent record of which chunk servers have a replica of a given chunk. It simply polls chunk servers for the information at startup. The master can keep itself up to date thereafter because it controls all chunk placements and monitors chunk server statuses with regular heartbeat messages. Operation log. The operation log contains a historical record of critical metadata changes. It is central to GFS. Not only is it the only persistent record of metadata, but it also serves as a logical timeline that defines the order of concurrent operations. Consistency model. GFS applications can handle the relaxed consistency model with a few simple techniques already needed for other purposes. Relying on appends rather than overrides, checkpointing, and writing self-validating, self-identifying records. System interactions. The system is designed in such a way that it reduces the involvement of the master in all operations. Now, let's discuss about how client, master, and chunk server communicate to execute data mutations, atomic record append, and snapshot. Mutation order. The client asks the master which chunk server holds the current lease for the chunk and the locations of the other replicas. The master replies with the identifier of the primary and the locations of other secondary replicas. The client catches this data for further mutations. The client pushes the data to all the replicas that can be done in any order. Once all the replicas have acknowledged receiving the data, the client sends a write request to the primary. The request identifies that data pushed earlier to all the replicas. The primary assigns consecutive serial numbers to all the mutations it receives. The primary forwards the write request to all secondary replicas. Each secondary replica applies mutation in the same serial number assigned by the primary. The secondaries all reply to the primary, including that they have completed the operation. The primary replies to the client, and any error encountered at any of the replicas are reported to the client. Data flow in the system. We decouple the flow of data from the flow of control to use the network efficiently. To fully exploit the network bandwidth of each machine, the data is pushed sequentially along a chain of chunk servers instead of being distributed in some other topology. To eliminate network bottlenecks and high latency connections as much as possible, each machine must forward the data to the closest machine in the network topology. Atomic record appends. GFS appends concurrent writes to the same region in the file at least once, atomically at an offset of GFS choosing, and returns that offset to the client. Record append is heavily used by our distributed applications in which many clients on different machines append to the same file concurrently. It is a kind of mutation and follows the control flow with only a little extra logic at the primary. Snapshot. The snapshot operations make a copy of a file or a directory tree, while minimizing any interruptions of ongoing mutations. It is used to quickly create branch copies of a huge data sets or to checkpoint the current state before experimenting with changes that can later be committed or rolled back easily. A standard copy on write techniques is used to implement snapshots. Master operation. GFS logically represents its namespace as a lookup table mapping full path names to metadata. Each node in the namespace tree has an associated read-write lock. Each master operation acquires a set of locks before it runs. A GFS cluster is highly distributed at more levels than one. It typically has hundreds of chunk servers spread across many machine racks. The chunk replica placement policies serves two purposes: maximize data reliability and availability, and maximize network bandwidth utilization. Chunk replicas are created for three reasons. First is chunk creation. To place new replicas on chunk servers with below average disk space utilization to equalize disk utilization across chunk servers, to limit the number of recent creation on each chunk server, to spread replicas of a chunk across racks. Second is re-replication. The master re-replicates a chunk as soon as the number of available replicas falls below a user specified goal. And finally, the master rebalances replicas periodically. It examines the current replica distribution and moves replicas for better disk space and load balancing. After a file is deleted, GFS only reclaims the available physical storage during regular garbage collection at both the file and chunk levels, which makes the system much simpler and more reliable. Chunk replicas may become stale if a chunk server falls and misses mutation to the chunk server while it is down. For each chunk, the master maintains a chunk version number to distinguish between up-to-date and stale replicas. The master removes the stale replicas in its regular garbage collection. The main problems when developing the system is overcoming with recurrent component failures. The solutions for these problems are high availability, data integrity, and diagnostic tools. High availability. Of the hundreds of servers in GFS cluster, some are bound to be inaccessible at a certain point in time. So, we have two easy but successful strategies, which are fast recovery and replication. These keep the entire network highly accessible. Both the master and the chunk server are designed to restore their state and start in seconds no matter how they are terminated. Chunk is replicated on multiple chunk servers on different racks. The master state is replicated for reliability. Data integrity. Each chunk server must verify the integrity of its own copy by maintaining chunk sums. Diagnostic tools. Extensive and detailed diagnostic loggings has helped in problem isolation, debugging, and performance analysis, while incurring on only minimal cost. GFS servers build diagnostic logs that document various key events and all RPC requests and replies that can be openly discarded without impacting other device correctness. Measurements. In this part, few micro benchmarks are presented to highlight the bottlenecks in the design and deployment of GFS, as well as some statistics from actual clusters in use at Google. Read. N clients read simultaneously from the file system. Each client reads a randomly selected 4 MB region from a 320 GB file set. This is repeated 256 times so that each client ends up reading 1 GB of data. The results are shown in figure 1. Write. N clients write simultaneously to N distinct files. Each client writes 1 GB of data to a new file in a series of 1 MB writes. The aggregate write rate and its theoretical limit is shown in figure 2. Record appends. N clients append simultaneously to a single file. Performance is limited by the network bandwidth of the cluster servers that stores the last chunk of the file, independent of the number of clients. Let's examine two clusters A and B in use within Google. Cluster A is used regularly for research and development. Cluster B is primarily used for production data processing. Storage. Both clusters have hundreds of chunk servers, support many TBs of disk data. Use space includes many chunk replicas. Virtually all files are replicated 3 times. Therefore, the cluster stores 18 TB and 52 TB of file data respectively. Metadata. The metadata kept at the master is much smaller, only tons of MBs or about 100 bytes per file on average. This agrees with our assumption that the size of the master's memory does not limit the system's capacity in practice. The read rates were much higher than the write rates. The total workload consists of more reads than writes, as we have assumed. Both clusters were in the middle of heavy and read activity. The master can easily keep up with this rate and therefore is not a bottleneck for these workloads. When a chunk server fails, some chunks will become under-replicated and must be cloned to restore their replication levels. The time it takes to restore all such chunks depends on the amount of resources. In this section, a detailed breakdown of the workloads on two GFS clusters comparable but not identical is presented. Cluster X is for research and development, whereas cluster Y is for production data processing. These results include only client-originated requests so that they reflect the workload generated by our applications for the file system. Statistics of input-output operations are based on heuristically extracted details from real RPC requests recorded by GFS servers. Table 4 shows the distribution of operations by size. Read and write sizes exhibit a bimodal distribution. The small reads come from seek-intensive clients that look up small pieces of data within huge files. The large reads come from long sequential reads through entire files. The large writes typically results from significant buffering within the writers. Writers that buffer less data, checkpoint or synchronize more often, or simplify generate less data account for the small writers. Record appends are heavily used, especially in our production systems. Our data mutation workload is dominated by appending rather than overwriting. Table 6 shows the breakdown by type of request to the master. Most requests ask for chunk locations for read and leaseholder information for data mutation. Several problems are faced during the process of developing and implementing GFS. Some are organizational and some are technological. Some of the biggest problems were disk and Linux drivers mismatch in the kernel, which would corrupt the data silently. The kernel is modified to handle these protocols mismatches, which motivates use of checksums to detect data corruption. Earlier, there were some problems with Linux 2.2 kernels due to the cost of fsync. Its cost is proportional to the size of the file rather than size of the modified portion. So, this problem was solved by changing to Linux 2.4. Another Linux problem was a single read-writer lock, which any thread in an address space must hold when it pages in from disk or modifies the address space in an mmap call. Like other large distributed file systems such as AFS, GFS offers a location-independent namespace that allows for the simple transfer of data for load balancing or fault tolerance. Like structures such as AFS, XFS, GFS does not have any caching beneath the file system interface. Some distributed file systems such as XFS, Minnesota's GFS and GPFS delete the centralized repository and rely for accuracy and maintenance on distributed algorithms. Although the NASD architecture is based on the network attached disk drivers, GFS uses commodity machines as chunk servers. Although River uses memory-based queues spread through machines and careful management of data flow, GFS uses a permanent file that can be appended to by multiple producers at the same time. Here are the conclusions for the Google File Systems. The Google File Systems shows the necessary qualities to enable large-scale workloads in the processing of data on commodity hardware. This design delivers high aggregate throughput for a variety of tasks performed by many concurrent readers and writers. This is done by distinguishing file system controls from the data transfer, which passes directly between chunk servers and clients, which passes through the master. GFS has successfully fulfilled our storage needs and is widely used within Google as a research and developing storage tool, as well as data processing for output. It is a powerful resource that helps us to continue to experiment on the size of the whole network and to tackle issues. Thank you.